Minho, a wealthy and handsome Korean CEO, had everything except love. After countless failed blind dates, he never expected to fall for Gladys, a kind Nigerian waitress from a world completely different from his. But when family, power, and fear threaten to tear them apart, will love be strong enough to defy destiny? Sit back and enjoy this heart-racing tale of passion, sacrifice, and the fight for true love. The rain poured heavily on the streets of Seoul, making the glass windows of the luxurious restaurant foggy. Inside, Minho sat at a private table, checking his watch. His sharp jawline, deep-set eyes, and perfectly styled hair made every woman turn to steal glances at him. But he didn't care. He had been on another blind date, and once again, he was disappointed. His date had been just like the others, too focused on his money, too eager to impress, but with no real heart. Minho sighed. His mother had set up countless blind dates for him, hoping he would marry soon. But he was tired. No one felt right. No one made his heart race. As he walked out of the restaurant, his phone buzzed. It was his assistant, calling about an urgent business trip. He had to fly to Nigeria in 2 days for an investment deal. Minho groaned. He hated traveling for long meetings, but he had no choice. 2 days later, Minho landed in Lagos, the city buzzing with energy. He checked into one of the best hotels, where the business meeting was set to take place. He didn't expect anything special, just another deal, another flight back to Korea. But life had other plans. Late at night, feeling restless, Minho decided to take a walk around the hotel. He stopped by the restaurant inside, hoping to grab a drink. That was when he saw her, a waitress. She wasn't dressed in fancy clothes or dripping in expensive jewelry like the women he usually met. She wore a simple uniform, her dark skin glowing under the restaurant lights. Her big, bright eyes held kindness, and when she smiled at an elderly man helping him with his food, Minho felt something strange. His heart skipped a beat. Gladys. That was her name. He heard one of the chefs call her. She was different. So different. Minho sat at a table, watching as she worked. She was gentle with customers, always smiling, always polite. When she finally walked up to him, he felt nervous for the first time in his life. "Good evening, sir. What would you like to order?" she asked. Minho stared at her, forgetting how to speak for a second. Then he cleared his throat. "Just water." Gladys tilted her head. "Are you sure? We have some really good jollof rice. Most foreigners love it." Minho wasn't sure what jollof rice was, but he found himself saying, "I'll have that." Gladys smiled again and walked away. Minho exhaled. His chest felt warm. He didn't understand why, but he wanted to know more about this woman. The next day, he made sure to visit the restaurant again, and the next, and the next. Each time he found an excuse to talk to her. She was funny, smart, and full of life. She didn't treat him like a billionaire CEO. She treated him like a regular person, and for the first time in his life, Minho felt seen. But not everyone was happy. His assistant, Dojin, noticed the way Minho kept visiting the restaurant. "Sir, you shouldn't waste your time on a waitress," he warned. "Your mother will be furious." Minho ignored him. His mother called, asking about the business deal. She had no idea he was more interested in a Nigerian waitress than in sealing contracts. Meanwhile, Gladys was confused. She had never met a man like Minho. He was polite, charming, and always asking her questions about her life. At first, she thought he was just being friendly, but then she started to notice the way he looked at her, the way his gaze softened when she laughed, the way he seemed to relax whenever she was near. One evening, as she was cleaning a table, she overheard two female guests whispering about Minho. "He's the youngest CEO of Kang Enterprises," one said. "He's worth millions. Why would he waste time here?" the other asked. Gladys froze. She had no idea Minho was that rich. That night, she avoided him. When he tried to talk to her, she gave short answers and walked away. Minho felt the change immediately. Did she find out who he was? Did she think he was just playing around? Frustrated, he waited until her shift ended and followed her outside. "Gladys?" he called. She turned, her arms crossed. "Why didn't you tell me who you were?" Minho sighed. "Because I didn't want you to see me as just a rich man. I wanted you to see me as me." Gladys looked at him for a long time. "You're a CEO. You live in Korea. What do you even want from me?" Minho didn't know how to explain it. All he knew was that he didn't want to leave Nigeria without her. But just as he opened his mouth to speak, his phone rang. It was his mother, and she was about to change everything. Minho hesitated before answering the call. He knew his mother well. She never called without a reason, and that reason was never good when it came to his personal life. "Minho? Where are you?" her sharp voice demanded the moment he picked up. "In Nigeria," he said simply. "For business, yes, I know. But I also know you've been wasting time at some low-class restaurant," she snapped. "Your assistant told me everything." Minho clenched his jaw. Dojin had betrayed him. "You need to focus on your future, Minho. Enough with these distractions. You have a blind date scheduled when you return. The daughter of Chairman Park. A perfect match." His grip on the phone tightened. His mother had been controlling his life for years, deciding who he should date, what he should do, and how he should act. But for the first time, he didn't want to obey. "I'm not interested," he said firmly. There was silence on the other end. Then, his mother's voice dropped into a dangerous whisper. "What did you just say?" "I said I'm not interested," Minho repeated. Gladys stood nearby, pretending not to listen, but her heart pounded. She had never seen someone defy their mother like that, especially someone as powerful as Minho. "Minho," his mother said, her voice cold. "Don't be foolish. Whatever little game you're playing in Nigeria, end it. Come home and do what's right." Minho ended the call without another word. He turned to Gladys, who was staring at him with a mixture of shock and concern. "You shouldn't have done that," she said softly. "I should have done it a long time ago," he replied. Gladys sighed, rubbing her arms. "Minho, be honest with yourself. What do you really want from me?" Minho stepped closer. "I don't know everything yet, but I do know this. I don't want to leave without you." Gladys's breath hitched. Her heart said one thing, but her mind said another. "We come from two different worlds," she whispered. "You have a life in Korea. I have a life here." "Then let's create a new world," Minho said, his eyes burning with sincerity. For a moment, she wanted to believe him. She wanted to fall into his arms and let herself dream. But reality wasn't a fairy tale. Before she could answer, loud voices echoed from the hotel entrance. "Where is he? Where is my son?" Minho's heart sank. His mother was here, and she was about to destroy everything. The tension in the air was so thick that Gladys felt like she couldn't breathe. She turned just in time to see a tall, elegant woman in a perfectly tailored suit storm into the hotel lobby, her sharp heels clicking against the marble floor. Behind her were two bodyguards and Minho's assistant, Dojin, who looked both nervous and guilty, Minho's mother. Her presence was overwhelming, her face cold and unreadable as she scanned the restaurant. The moment her sharp eyes landed on Minho, she marched toward him. "Minho?" she said in a dangerously calm voice. "Let's go." Minho didn't move. "I'm not leaving." Her expression darkened. "Enough of this nonsense. You are embarrassing yourself and our family. What is a CEO doing chasing after a—" She stopped, her gaze finally landing on Gladys. For a second, there was silence. Then, in a voice coated with disdain, she said, "This is the girl." Gladys felt her stomach twist. She wasn't stupid. She knew this type of woman, the kind who believed power and wealth were the only things that mattered, the kind who would never accept someone like her. Minho stepped protectively in front of Gladys. "Her name is Gladys," he said firmly. "And yes, she's the one I—" He stopped himself before finishing the sentence, but everyone understood what he was about to say. His mother let out a low chuckle, shaking her head. "You have lost your mind." "I've finally found it," Minho shot back. She exhaled sharply, her patience thinning. "Listen to me, Minho. Do you think a woman like this can survive in our world? Do you think she understands what it means to be by your side? She is nothing but a hotel waitress." "That's enough." Minho's voice was firm, his eyes flashing with anger. "I don't care what you think. You've controlled my life for too long. I'm not walking away from this." Gladys felt her chest tighten. He was fighting for her. But did she even belong in his world? His mother turned to her now, her gaze sharp. "Do you really believe this is a love story?" she asked. "Do you think a man like him will stay with you? Do you think you can handle what comes next?" Gladys opened her mouth to speak, but she hesitated. She had never thought about what would come next. She had never imagined what being with Minho would actually mean. Before she could respond, Minho grabbed her hand. "Gladys, you don't have to answer her. I know this is a lot, but His phone rang. Everyone froze. Minho hesitated before checking the caller ID. When he saw the name, his face went pale. Chairman Park, the father of the woman his mother had arranged for him to marry. His mother smirked. "You see? You can't escape your responsibilities." Minho clenched his jaw, his fingers tightening around Gladys's hand. He had to make a choice. His family. Or her. And he had to make it now. Minho stared at his phone, his mind racing. He knew what this call meant. Chairman Park wasn't a man to be ignored. Answering would mean stepping back into the life his mother had planned for him. Not answering would mean war. His mother's smirk deepened. "Go on," she taunted. "Answer it. Be the dutiful son you've always been." Gladys could feel the tension radiating from Minho's body. She squeezed his hand lightly, unsure if she was comforting him or herself. Then, slowly, Minho did something no one expected. He turned off his phone. A sharp gasp escaped Dojin's lips. The bodyguards exchanged glances. Even Gladys felt a jolt of shock. Minho's mother, however, didn't react immediately. She simply blinked. Then, in a voice so cold it sent chills down Gladys's spine, she whispered, "You just made the biggest mistake of your life." Minho took a deep breath, straightened his shoulders, and met his mother's gaze without fear. "No," he said. "For the first time, I made the right choice." The restaurant had gone silent. Other guests were pretending not to watch, but everyone could feel the weight of the moment. His mother took a step closer, her face unreadable. "Do you think this girl will wait for you?" she asked softly. "Do you think she can handle the pressure, the scandals, the media, the business world? Love doesn't protect you from reality, Minho." Minho didn't flinch. "Then I'll protect her." Gladys's heart stopped. Protect her. She pulled her hand from his grasp, stepping back. Minho. Her voice wavered. Maybe your mother is right. His head snapped toward her. What? I don't belong in your world, she whispered. I don't know if I can do this. Minho looked like he had been punched in the gut. Gladys, don't say that. This is your choice, not my mother's. Gladys bit her lip. She wanted to believe in him. She wanted to believe in them. But fear gripped her chest. Minho's mother saw the hesitation in her eyes and smiled. That's what I thought, she said. Then, turning to her son, she added, You will return to Korea with me, and you will forget this foolishness. Minho turned to Gladys, his eyes pleading. Say the word, and I'll stay. Gladys opened her mouth, but the words wouldn't come out. Tears welled in her eyes as she forced herself to step back. She looked away. Minho felt something inside him crack. He had never felt this helpless before. His mother placed a hand on his shoulder. Let's go. For the first time in his life, Minho had fought for something real, and for the first time, he had lost. Without another word, he turned and walked away. Gladys stood there, watching his figure disappear through the hotel doors, feeling like she had just made the biggest mistake of her life. But was it really a mistake? Or was this the only way to save them both? The moment Minho stepped out of the hotel, Gladys felt an emptiness she had never known before. It was as if someone had taken all the light from the room, leaving her in complete darkness. She had done the right thing, hadn't she? Minho was from a world far different from hers, a world of power, money, and expectations, a world where love wasn't always enough. Then why did her heart feel like it was breaking? She stood frozen as she watched him get into the black car, his mother sitting beside him, victorious. Dojin hesitated at the door, giving her a small, regretful look before following. And then, just like that, they were gone. Gladys let out a shaky breath, wiping the single tear that slipped down her cheek. She turned, trying to focus on work, but everything felt dull, lifeless. Even the voices of her colleagues, the clatter of plates, and the hum of the restaurant seemed far away. She had let him go, and she had no idea if she would ever see him again. Minho stared out of the car window, his jaw tight, his heart heavier than it had ever been. His mother sat beside him, looking smug, but he refused to acknowledge her. "You'll thank me later?" she finally said. "One day, you'll see I was right." Minho closed his eyes, letting out a slow breath. "I'll never thank you for this," he said quietly. His mother's smile faltered for the briefest second before she straightened, pretending not to care. But Minho knew the truth. She had won this battle, but not the war. Because no matter how far he was from Gladys, no matter how much time passed, one thing was certain. He was in love with her, and he wasn't going to let this be the end of their story. Not yet. Weeks passed, but Minho couldn't forget her. Back in Seoul, he was surrounded by luxury, by the familiar cold halls of his family's estate, by endless meetings and responsibilities. But nothing felt the same. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw her, Gladys, with her bright, kind eyes, her laughter that made everything feel lighter, her warmth that had melted the walls he had built around himself for years. He had left her, but his heart had stayed behind in Nigeria. One evening, as he sat in his office, staring blankly at the reports in front of him, Dojin hesitated before speaking. "Sir, you're not yourself," he said carefully. Minho didn't respond. Dojin sighed. "I booked a ticket." Minho finally looked up. "What?" Dojin pushed a plane ticket across the desk. To Nigeria, tomorrow morning. Minho's heart pounded. Why would you do that? Dojin gave him a knowing look. Because you need to go back. Because you love her. And because if you don't do something now, you'll regret it for the rest of your life. Minho's fingers tightened around the ticket. Dojin was right. Without another word, Minho stood, grabbed his coat, and walked out. He had wasted enough time. He wasn't going to let her slip away again. Gladys stood by the restaurant window, lost in thought. The sky was painted with soft orange hues, the city buzzing with life, but inside her there was only silence. She missed him, more than she wanted to admit. She had tried to move on, to focus on work, to convince herself she had done the right thing. But deep down, she knew the truth. She had let fear win, and now Minho was gone. Gladys? Her friend nudged her. There's someone asking for you outside. Gladys frowned. Who? The girl just grinned. Go see for yourself. With a sigh, Gladys wiped her hands on her apron and stepped outside. And then she stopped. Her breath caught in her throat. Standing right there, in the golden light of sunset, was Minho. Looking as handsome as ever, his dark hair slightly tousled from the wind, his sharp suit slightly wrinkled from travel. But his eyes held something raw, something desperate, something that made her heart race. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then, in a soft, almost shaky voice, he said, I came back for you. Gladys felt her world tilt, her hands trembled, and before she could stop herself, she ran straight into his arms. Minho caught her, holding her so tightly it felt like he would never let go. I thought I lost you, she whispered against his chest, tears slipping down her cheeks. You'll never lose me, he murmured, pressing his lips against her hair. Not now. Not ever. Gladys pulled back slightly, looking up at him. Minho cupped her face, his thumb gently brushing away her tears. I love you, Gladys, he whispered, and I don't care about anything else. Just tell me you'll have me, and I'll stay. Forever. Tears filled her eyes again, but this time, they were tears of happiness. She smiled, placing her hands over his. Stay, she whispered. And then, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Minho leaned down and kissed her. Soft, deep, full of all the love he had held inside for so long. And in that moment, nothing else mattered. Because love had won. Months later, Gladys stood in front of the mirror, adjusting the elegant dress Minho had gifted her. She still couldn't believe how much had changed. His mother had fought hard to separate them, but Minho had fought harder to keep her. And in the end, love had won. She had been accepted, not because she changed, but because Minho had refused to let the world define their love. Tonight, as she walked into the grand event held in Seoul, Minho stood waiting at the entrance, his eyes shining with pride. He reached for her hand, lacing their fingers together. Ready? He whispered. Gladys smiled, squeezing his hand. As long as you're with me. And with that, they stepped forward, together, no longer fighting for their love, but living it. If you found this story interesting, please like, share, comment what you learned, and subscribe for more.